Good afternoon, everybody. Thanks for joining us. I'm Shawn Aceto. This is Your Essential Nature. I'm here with my co-host, Kimberly Testa. And we're here to entertain and scramble your eggs a little bit. So what's going on?
Well, you know, it's funny because I texted you a couple hours ago to see what we were going to talk about, and you said synchronicity in relationships. And it was right on cue because I actually had a couple this morning who came in, and they are a new couple, and they were telling me all the synchronicities that led them to each other and how they had known each other for many years, actually. So
Did they use the word soulmate?
no, they didn't.
Oh, good.
They didn't.
Good. Because that leads you to the idea that there's only one.
Right.
It's your soulmate, your twin flame, there's one. And if you miss out, you're in trouble. You're not going to get any more of that. So I play with the idea of synchronicity a lot. And it ties in with when someone passes away, and I don't mean to sound callous about this, they said he died unexpectedly.
To whom?
Right. Was he God? Did you not expect him to die? So we have this sense that comes with that, like we know, right? We know it should happen. It's the word unexpected. Well, who are you to expect?
Yeah, and that comes up a lot as
Yeah.
well. But there's one thing that I have, and I think it's unfortunate because I don't understand why I have it, but I have always had this ability or knowing when people were going to die. So I could meet someone and know, and usually it's within that year.
Yeah.
And I don't know why.
I'm the one that gets to see them last before they go.
Yeah.
Yeah, kind of set them off. It's kind of a neat thing to be a part of. And with that, there's fear. There's a fear you pick up on them that they don't want anyone to see them do it, to see them die, to see them go over. It's always right after I leave.
It depends who it is. Because I've worked with people and their families in hospice. And it was amazing experiences to work with the person. One man in particular, he wasn't able to speak anymore. And I was able to communicate with him and clear up some old family issues. And then one by one, I did healing work with all of the family that was around him. And when he did pass, it was a really beautiful experience for everyone.
It's more peaceful that way if you give them the permission to do that.
Right.
But you hear that a lot with people, that idea of unexpected. It's unexpected. I didn't expect it. I didn't. Who are you? You don't know everything. You're a student of the universe. If you take your life as it comes and you're present in it,
right,
you don't have that, oh my God, I'm so shocked. But you have the ability to be more in the flow with things, knowing that you're allowing for constant change. Why are your legs so shiny?
Oh, coconut oil.
Oh.
Thanks for noticing.
So it's glaring more than my head. So what is synchronicity to you? How do you register that? What does it mean? I know it means for me, and I have an understanding that I prefer to take on what it is. And that is, and it might be out there a little bit, but I get this feeling that before we incarnate into this meat suit, we get, it's like being at a news rack, and you get to pick, this life, that life. I'm going to be Kim, I'm going to be Aja, I'm going to be Laura, and you get to kind of leaf through it, right? You get to leaf, and I think, anyway, so you get to kind of preview the life that you might take. You get to pick the movie you're going to watch, okay? Deja vu, I think, is the same thing. Deja vu is like all of a sudden you're in that life and you're remembering the preview you saw at the theater. Or I remember reading about this in my prologue to this life I'm going to take. Oh, that's right. So is it synchronicity, or is it just a little signpost to say, yes, it was written. Yes, it was there. Do you remember this?
But there's also, everything happens in one moment. And there is no past and there is no future. And it's just a remembrance of this moment.
All right, let's be serious for a minute.
I am serious.
Okay, let's be serious for a minute. Okay, now that we got that out of the way, how people take that is always interesting. They say it's a sign I'm doing the right thing. It gives them permissions to do this. It gives them justification. It gives them validation.
Well, it is.
Or are they choosing to pay attention to it?
Well, that's the thing, and that's one of the things that came up this morning with this couple, and how they are, and all the synchronicities, and how they are right now, and how they're saying that it's bringing both of them into this present moment. And the man was like, it's about paying attention, because they had known each other like their whole lives. And then the timing just brought them together at this point. And he said all along, when they looked back, there were all these synchronicities that happened, and these correlations in their lives.
They might be soulmates.
Paying attention, they might be.
But is it selective attention if there's a universe of infinite possibilities?
Well,
is it synchronicity, or is it lining up like islets? Like a sight on a gun, where you're pulling it in together and you say, all right, I see the next thing, I'll be looking for that. Then it appears.
That's assuming that there's such a thing as fate. What if there isn't? What if we're given a script, but we can change it? We're all creators. We have the ability to change and shift what's happening. Mm-hmm. And one of the things that I've noticed over the years is, about 10 years ago, I could sit down with someone and, I've always had this knowing, I've always had this intuition, and I can see things that are going to happen in the future. And over the years, there's been a lot more question marks above things. There's some things that I know will happen, but now the energy is shifting, and we are all much more in the moment and creating as it happens. So what if it isn't all pre-scripted?
No, I don't know that it is. I think it's an infinite array of possibilities, but there's also the factor of free will, which I believe is there.
Maybe.
It's free will, I think, in the sense that you say you have 10 choices. Okay, the result of those 10 choices is already written, but you have the choice on which door you want to go into.
There's also multiple realities as well, because what if in one reality you make one choice, and in another reality you make the number 2 and number 3, and
yeah, I don't know about that.
You don't know. I know you don't know. Oh, the audience member has something to say. Yeah, see? So, well, maybe someday you will. Maybe that's
it's an abstract idea. It's not out of the realm of possibility, but at the moment,
until you have the experience,
I'm looking at this linearly, in a linear way.
Okay.
To try to understand, is it free will, or is it manifest destiny? Is it going from here to Jamestown and deciding which road you're going to take, and you're going to get to the same place, and how do you want to get there?
If there is a creator that has everything figured out for us, then there is no free will.
It's free will in the choices you make between here and there.
The lights are getting to me.
Oh, I thought
they
you were
always make
having
my eye
an
tear.
emotional moment.
No, the light's burning my eye. Well, here we go. Yeah. So, it is about experience, really, and embodying that experience, because I can't really speak of anything unless I have experienced it, and perhaps you will.
Maybe. I haven't had that experience yet.
Yeah.
I've had the experience of knowing, okay, I could see this coming. Mm-hmm. I had an understanding of how this choice would be. Is that my preview of my life, or is that just intuition? I don't know.
Yeah. And I question that as well when I do readings for people, and a lot of times I'll refer to my guides, and then I question that as well. I know my guides are me as well. Mm-hmm.
Some of them would be girls.
Are they my guides, or are they
the girls or the guides?
Intuition.
Do they both?
They're both, and neither. Okay. So is it my guides or is it my intuition? What is the difference? Is there a difference?
Well, I think it brings up my next point. I've worked with a lot of people that are highly religious.
Highly.
And the more, it's like contagious, but it's religious. And the more religious they are, the more anxiety they have. Mm-hmm. So it's confusing to me, and I always ask them, if you're religious and you believe in God, however you choose to believe it, God, the understanding of God in almost every religion is omnipotence and omniscience. So what you're saying is you have anxiety, which means that you don't trust God, but you're religious. And you have a fear that maybe God will make a mistake and leave you high and dry or leave you out.
I think it's that they don't trust themselves.
Mm-hmm. But how can you say you trust, you're religious and you trust God, but he might make a mistake? What's the point?
I don't know. I'm not one of those highly religious people.
You're recovering.
Yeah. But, my stand on that is it's just people giving away their power because they don't want to be responsible for their choices. But there's a part of them that realizes that they are, and so they're afraid. Sometimes I like to think that if you're talking to anything or anyone other than God, it's just an opinion. Otherwise, how do you know? It's just everyone else's opinions of everyone else's experience. But if we are all part of God, we are all God, then from a different perspective, speaking to ourselves. Right. So what if all the religious people in the world just stopped with all their anxiety and just trusted that whatever happens is for our benefit? It may not be the way we would choose it, the way we would like it, the way we think in our limited perspective, and just allowed for the constant change and allowed our lives to unfold before us without the anxiety. Religious people, everyone. Right. Yeah. But in the religious community, there's a contradiction there. There's a contradiction of, I trust God, God is great, that's my God, that's my Jesus, but he might make a mistake. This is assuming that every religious person is the same, too. Well, because, I had those preconceptions, but I've met plenty of people that have caused me to think differently, because they are people who are also spiritual and open and listen to their intuition. And so, yeah, let's not stereotype. No, it's not meant to stereotype, but there's a degree of trust that is lacking in my experience, especially as a practitioner. Yeah. And I think you're right in the idea that so much of it comes down to lack of self-trust. Mm-hmm. If you have a question, if you have a fork in the road, and you trust yourself, if you trust your higher self, if you trust your intuition, there's no anxiety in that. And you trust yourself to handle anything that comes up in that way. Mm-hmm. And that makes life really simple. It does. So if everyone in our audience could do that, and just stop when you get anxious, I want it this way, I want it this way, I see it this way. And you stop and you say, it's out of my hands, it may be coming in a different way. Yeah. So people need to accept what is happening. I mean, that's often what I work through with clients, is like, this is what's happening. Be with that right now. Mm-hmm. Let go of your grip on the way you think things should be, or your expectations. And it's the same way with being a psychic. We can see things, and sometimes it gets very specific, and sometimes it isn't. But we know what's going to happen. But we can't choose how it's going to happen. No. We just need to allow and know and trust that it will happen. And it's actually with this couple today, because she came to me for a session for something else a couple months ago, and I said, you have a man coming in. And he kept showing up, and I described him, what, to the clothes he wore and everything, and the field he was in, and, that she was going to get a house, and then the man was going to come. It happened a little bit differently. She decided to buy a house, and then the man showed up. And she just moved into her new house today. So I saw it coming, but I didn't know exactly how it was going to turn out. And there he was today, right in front of me, you know, the guy that I predicted.
Mm-hmm.
It was fun.
What would you say is I know there's a lot of them, but first one to come to your mind, what are the most profound experiences you've had as a healer? I'll share one of mine so you can think for a second.
As a healer, okay.
Well, you know, when you're in your line of work and your practice, and one of mine was a young lady I met at one of these group things, festival kind of atmosphere, a lot of turnover. You get 15 minutes or so, and I'm not claiming responsibility for it, but I knew I was a part of it. She came in and sat on the table, and one of the first things that came up was her and her husband were trying to have a baby. Mm-hmm. She was trying to have a baby, and he was helping. And it's the first thing that came up, and there was some kind of trouble around it. There was some discord, and I don't like to dive into the past life stuff, but there was a suicide I saw in New York in the early 1900s, and I felt like that was getting in the way. So I worked with her a little on that, and a year later, outsquirted a baby. Squirted? You know, it's not. That's
what a man would say.
I'm not saying it was my fault. I've seen it happen. It's very much a squirt. You know, I'm not claiming responsibility for doing that, but I know I had a part in that.
Yeah, I mean, we do as you know, as healers. We have the ability to bring people into alignment with their own truth and to give them, to restore their sense of self and their connectedness to their own intuition and their own knowing, enabling this to happen.
So
you know, we're giving them the permission.
When they come in and see us, and this woman came down and sat on my table, was it synchronicity that we were both in the same place at the same time?
Sure.
So how about you? What do you recall that really stands out?
Gosh, there's so many things. I think one of my favorite recent ones is one of my clients that had never had the ability to smell. And I linked it to a traumatic experience from her childhood. I went in and I cleared it, and now she can smell. She texted me one day. She's like, I'm in the store and I smelled lemongrass soap for the first time in my whole life. And now she's going around sniffing random things. But, you know, she's even selling essential oils now. So
for her, a whole other dimension opened up.
Oh, amazing. I mean, but there's been so many incredible, miraculous things that I've seen happen. It would take me a while to think of them. But that's one of my favorite recent stories.
Yeah. So I see pictures of the baby, and I feel like it's nice to know in somewhere I had a little part in that. You know, it doesn't necessarily make me special. It puts me at the right place at the right time. No, I gave that up. It wasn't even for Lent.
Well, you know, we are there to open the energy for the possibilities. The possibility is already there. I know it's interesting because everyone is perfect just the way they are. So I question that sometimes, like, well, what am I doing? And it is what you're talking about. Well, my role as a healer is to, quote, fix people, but if everybody's okay the way they are, but then they come to me.
Yeah, there's a paradoxical thought in that.
Yeah, it's meant to be.
And
if it happened, it was meant to be.
It's predestined, right? No synchronicity,
right.
Just that's what was written.
Right.
But we run into people that, as you say, give away your power. One of the first church services I did, the woman said, well, don't you credit your healing to this person or that person? And she was really upset when I said no. Because if there is this person or that person, they want me to do it. You know, with your son, do you want him to come to you every time he wants a sandwich, or do you want to teach him to do it?
Did you hear that?
Yeah, did you?
I keep trying to have him make his own sandwiches, but sometimes I need to make them.
So be there a God, be there angels, whatever you want to believe in. Don't you think that they want for us to take off some of the pressure? I mean, George Carlin puts it the best, you know, 'cause Sunday is God's day off and everyone does nothing but ask him for stuff, you know, leave him alone. So whatever you want to be in, I'm given these abilities and this opportunity to help. And it's not about taking credit or denying credit to it, but we both have to be there to do that. We both have to be willing
I agree.
to participate in that.
I try not to think about it too much. I just show up and let it happen. And without expectations. Because who am I to say how it's going to happen or how it should happen?
Well, you know, when you have expectations and you hit the nail on the head, you're shooting all over the whole experience.
Mm-hmm.
You're saying it should be that way, and you're now you're playing the role of God, thinking you know exactly what should happen, rather than allowing and expanding the opportunity.
Right.
So it's interesting stuff.
It really is. It's fun too, though. It's a trip sometimes.
But there's those moments where I've come in hot for a session. You know, I've been working all day. I have barely enough time to stuff food down my throat. I show up in the office and someone sits down and I'm like, I really just want to nap. And the most amazing things happen because I have no attachment to what comes out next, to which direction it goes, to whatever. And I've really taken that approach lately that as much as I'm here, I'm a vessel, but I also have to be there.
Right.
So it's, as you said, showing up, being there, being willing to go with whatever opens up for us, whatever the synchronicity is.
That's it. That's how I work. That's how I show up here. I have no idea what's going to happen when I sit in this chair. You know, it's just, and sometimes I'll try to think about it, like on the way over, because I kind of figured I knew a little bit about what we were talking about. But anytime I tried to, blank, like nothing. So and this has been happening for years now, I can't prepare for anything anymore. All I get is nothing in my brain.
Today's a good example. I'm been exhausted, flatter than Tom Brady's balls today. Like, I just wanted to go to sleep. I get no energy left.
Oh, okay. The football guy.
Yeah, so it brings up an interesting rubber chicken, okay? We'll talk about that. And people talk about greed, this whole movement towards socialism, you know, towards the rich. And when they say rich, do they mean someone like Tom Brady? Do they mean athletes? Do they mean singers? Do they mean Jay-Z? Because those guys are wealthy, but they don't put the same kind of shame on they do for a corporate CEO. So a CEO who's in charge of millions of decisions, hundreds of thousands of people, all this responsibility, it's not okay for him to make millions of dollars, but it's okay for Tom Brady too, because he's good with balls.
Well, it depends on your perspective.
But that seems to be the norm.
Because it's been manufactured that way. Because they're a distraction. When were we going to talk about distractions as well?
Yeah, but I keep distracting you.
Oh, you think. Distracting yourself.
So that, folks, takes us to the end of the show.
Oh, that was fast.
So as always, we want you to write in youressentialnature@gmail.com. Give us your comments, your suggestions, things you want us to touch on, things you want Kim to wear. We're here. We're available. Golden platform shoes.
I could wear them here. I can't walk in them very well.
Nobody can. Don't feel bad.
No, some people can.
So thanks for coming. Thanks for joining us. Have a great afternoon.
Thanks.